Hello, my friends.
Hi, welcome back.
Welcome one, welcome all. Let's see who we got coming. It's been a real breezy day here. Cool, not cold, but cool. And thankfully, blue skies. Feels like the weather is changing again.
Awesome. We got Ozboy, Miss Tina, and Paige and Benjamin. Great to see you guys. Oh, from Eugene, Oregon. And how is it there, Benjamin? Is everything crazy or is it feel calm where you're at?
I think the world feels kind of crazy right now. We wanted to just basically talk to you guys a little bit, without necessarily having any one particular subject in mind. Just more talking about what are you feeling out there? What are you feeling? Because we've been getting the impression of shifting timelines, and we have gotten messages from the guides and the galactics that things are kind of shifting right now.
Yeah, definitely shifting. And it just feels like there's DG57, there's Brody, there's Paul, Dave. Great to see you guys. Thanks for coming. Ray Brown, hello. Hi, Barb. Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's a shift in a timeline and everything is just sort of calm and quiet while other things are, getting adjusted in the background.
Barb is in Missouri. She says starting to look pretty rough out there. They got a tornado warning.
Wow.
Well, let's send some calming over that direction there. And yeah, it just feels, it kind of feels like if you've ever been in an accident, a car accident. When I was 17, I was in a really bad accident. And it seemed like everything slowed down to a crawl. It seemed like everything moved in slow motion, like time just totally changed. And it was just like I could remember the windows of the car just getting blown inwards, pieces of glass shattering, the car getting, shifted like 4 or 5 feet, spinning around. And it was just so weird. I could see my friends that were in the car too, and everybody was just moving real slow. Well, that's kind of what it feels like right now. It kind of feels like, at least to me, it feels like that type of feeling.
Yeah, where it kind of slows down, everything slows down before there's, you actually feel the impact because we know it, I think we articulated it a long time ago when this other plague on the land came to be. We said it was like a really slow moving train wreck, and I feel that feeling again.
And it's so different how things can feel when we go within. Because like Cindy and I, we've been doing a lot of meditation, QiGong, and yoga every single day. And we've actually been meditating 2 to 3 times a day for anywhere between a half an hour and an hour or a little bit more each time. And when we're in that state, everything is absolutely beautiful. And when we're just enjoying ourselves, as long as we're unplugged, everything is wonderful. Then when you plug in, when you start plugging in, you start looking at headlines and seeing what people are feeling out there. Yuck.
I know, when the phones are off and the computers are off and we're just doing our own thing, that seems to be when everything just feels right, where everything is everything in the world is okay and it's right. And you start turning things on and, that just, then you're going to be getting information that might be somewhat disturbing. It's like you're just sort of at this anticipatory state of mind where you're waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah, exactly. So I know there's some buffering going on, and they always are trying to push down. See, this is one of the things that hit me recently too. And I know, obviously the political situation is such that people jump on either side very strongly. And that Cindy and I both believe that everything is orchestrated, that there really are puppet masters behind the scenes that are moving every piece into place. Although you might have people involved that are absolutely, sincere and really trying to do their best. I was involved a little bit with the Libertarian Party, at least just, trying to give it a tiny boost as I could locally, just because I really believe and totally know that both the big parties are 100% corrupt. And, they make it very difficult to even get on ballots. If you're like, say, a small party like the Libertarian Party, which, values personal individual freedoms above, Big Brother. Individual freedoms are the basis of really what the country was supposed to be founded on, even though, as we've said, a lot of the founding fathers, like Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. But yeah, he owned slaves. How about their liberty? How about their, how about their lives? And it's amazing how they didn't view things and couldn't see things for what they were, thinking that some things, some institutions of the time, such as slavery, was perfectly okay. And then even looking at the Bible and saying, well, it's okay, it's in the Bible. There's some things that are just inherently wrong. It doesn't matter what time we're in. I just would never believe any form of slavery is ever right. Not to get off on a diatribe. But the point is that the system is set up so it can't be changed. It's got safeguards in place against change, and we're seeing that, and we're recognizing that. And boy, we can see how blurry it is right now.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, because they don't want this message, coming out.
No, they definitely don't want us to be able to bounce information off of each other and just sort of check in and see how we are all each doing, in this time when energy seems to be, or time seems to be standing still in a way. I guess that's about the best way I could explain it. Feels like time is standing still, and we know that there's something just on the horizon, and it's like standing there and waiting and just watching. Not quite as bad as watching a plant grow or water boil, but still, it's like staying and waiting, and something is going to come around the corner and change your life.
Yeah, exactly. And we're actually on a pretty decent internet right now, so if there is any buffering and stuff, that's, again, the powers that be doing what they do. But we've seen this, we've seen entire channels just disappear as well. And so one of the things that was hitting me, and again, I don't really look at anything that comes out of the Democratic or Republican parties as being true change, although when we look at going back to the status quo, like going backwards in time to an administration that's going to be just like what we had before, business as usual, it's pretty disheartening, but the people of the world are waking up, but at the same time, they're not coming together. And when we look at what's going on, it's one thing to be awoke, and another thing to be willing to work with people and to rise above. When you look at like some of the news that's out there right now, just glancing at headlines, we see the divisiveness is as bad as it's ever been, guys. It really is. It's probably worse than it's ever been. And I do think, again, that's the conquer and divide that we see going on.
Right. And we were kind of, divide and conquer. We were talking today about healing and, how to heal the planet, how to heal the mother. And healing of ourselves is really, really critical, because when you're whole and you're able to give of yourself, all the way around, you're really, really making a difference. And it just feels right to heal yourself, and then you're able to start to heal the earth.
And it's so easy to use these new classifications that have come into vogue, the past, 4 years or so. You look at the second item down here, and we see the First Amendment, going bye-bye because, of a new label. We had fake news, which came out, and that was a hot term. Anything that we want to disagree with, we could call fake news, basically. And so anything, again, that criticizes could be called hate speech. And, this road that we're going down so fast. I mean, this is like, it's just like a roller coaster. It's like that big first hill when you're going down a roller coaster and you can't believe how fast you're going. That you're just, hanging on, and some of us are screaming at the top of our lungs, but still, you can't move. You can't get anything going. And that's where, that stuck in the mud feel comes from. Right now, it feels like the matrix around us is kind of like molasses to me. I don't know if you guys are feeling that.
I kind of feel like it's a really good time to actually manifest and envision the kind of world that we do want to see. What kind of place do you want to wake up to? What kind of place do you want to be a part of? And even make a collage. I mean, something is just telling me that we need to start our manifesting abilities and just give that vision some time out of your day. Maybe that's some people, maybe that's tithing in a way, making the world a better place just by your visions.
Yeah, most definitely. And one thing we don't want is, these wars going on. And, as this is talking about forever war returns, it's interesting, too. You see Trump's new acting defense secretary signals withdrawal from Afghanistan and made the statement, all wars must end. I think the people of the globe would love to see all wars ending. Right. But then again, that takes away one of the key tools of the powers that be. Mm-hmm. And also it takes away a lot of money from certain industries. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that's probably not what we're going to see happen, but I think that's what we could get the whole world to agree on. I mean, who really benefits in war when you get down to it? It's always a horrible karmic event, that just brings on more divisiveness, more hatred, more anger, more retribution.
It does. And, people like us, the common people, we don't want this. And it only benefits a certain group. And they've had control for far too long. And I do feel like as we move into this space where there's more light, there's more enlightenment, there's more education and more knowledge, even though we might be going through a rough patch pretty soon in a lot of ways, I feel it's going to spur on some seriously awesome soul growth.
Yeah, most definitely. And so what we've gotten from the Galactics, from Laurel, the Pleiadian, that has been giving us some information, is that there are shifting timelines going on right now. And she reiterated that though it might not look like it, the most likely timeline is still a reversal of what we see going on right now, and what everybody is assuming and accepting. The fact that there's going to be a transition to a new regime coming in, and some might take offense to the regime, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So even though it looks like it's not likely, they were giving the odds at about 85% that we still will have a reversal of fortune and that things will be revealed. Although that's an increase from what it was before, because before the dominant timeline was definitely the reversal. So it's starting to shift a little bit over towards the blue side. Although, again, ultimately, there's different beings at the very top of this pyramid. Again, whether it's Biden or Trump, neither one of them is really calling all the shots.
Exactly. That's really important to recognize, that even though they are using these two beings as, points of leadership, that doesn't mean that they're calling any shots at all in any way, shape, or form. They're put in a position and they're surrounded by other people who give them information, and then they spew it out to the public, but that doesn't mean that they have any control in any way, shape, or form as far as what's going on. Now, if you want to talk lesser of two evils, I have my opinion on that. You know, I don't want to upset anybody, but because it is that, unfortunately, that's the system we're in. And I think that's a very sorry place to be, where you have to look at the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, exactly. And there is one side that's going to move full steam ahead with, taking away all our rights, completely, and just speeding up the whole process of, things that will be not optional, not an option. You're going to have to. And of course, that's going to bring about, well, if we see so many people in the streets now, I think that will bring out even more. I hope the world is not totally asleep. I know a lot of people are waking up, and we need more and more people to wake up all the time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, sorry for the buffering, guys. Yeah, Lady Yolanda says stop talking about the P word. Yeah, just because we know exactly, what has been planned, and, they're obviously shutting that whole thing down. So the other thing we were going to talk about too was just the need to reconnect so much. We really, really need to reconnect with the planet, with each other, and with nature. It's imperative that we reconnect, and we have been cut off from nature so effectively in much of the civilized world.
Oh my gosh, have we ever been cut off from nature? And it's been filled with all these shiny new things that when we go to the store, we can look at, pretty Christmas ornaments and lights. And yeah, they are pretty. But it's also pulling us away from our spiritual center, which is the most important thing of all. They've given us all of these things to look at outside of ourselves in awe and wonder. But when we do that, we pull away from our true self, and we forget about going within, and we forget about all these deities or beings that are actually there waiting for us to discover who they are. Maybe you're, and it could be anything that is going to benefit yourself, anything that's going to bring self-improvement is worth going after.
Anna's asking if it's swarming in our area. Well, we're not where we used to be, and so we've been on the move a lot. And we're, 1,000 miles away from where we were or so. So, no, there's no activity where we are at all. It's very quiet and very cold. Well, it's beautiful, actually. And I was starting to do a video, and unfortunately my phone shut down on me. But I'll see if I could get that up for tomorrow, just showing you guys some absolutely gorgeous scenery. And but what I wanted to share with you was a real wild thing that happened to us today. So last night, let's see, well, I think we went to bed maybe around 10, somewhere around there, somewhere 10 or 11. And then we're up at about 4, I want to say. Usually it's 3, right on the nose, 3 o'clock. But today was 4, so, decided to do some mantras with meditation again in the middle of the night. And then couldn't really get back to sleep after that. So got up at 6 something, and back to, mantras and meditation and some yoga. And wow, and then we lost all the screen. What happened there? Can you guys see us still? Can you hear us?
Well, if they slide back a few minutes, they can get us. So they've been spreading that information in the chat. I think they're okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's coming through. But basically what was wild was all of a sudden there was hundreds, if not thousands, of birds all around us. And they just kept flocking to us from like everywhere. And it was most definitely like a sign we felt. We felt like it was a sign from the divine feminine to just, give us a reaffirmation, about keep at it, don't get down, don't get off track, don't let them bump you, to where you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So it was a beautiful reaffirmation to us. And there was no reason for there to be so many birds in this area. It was just crazy. I mean, they were just swarming around us and just landing all around us in trees, on the roof. It was wild.
Yeah, they'd never done that before. It's like these birds can see certain frequencies or certain things that we can't. And, well, they just have a better instincts. And, that's another thing we can learn from the wildlife around us and our surroundings is when we go out in nature, how everything operates by instinct, and it just sort of instinctually knows. And a lot of that information has also been taken away from us through education of, and indoctrination. And it's taken us away from our center. Our instincts are so critical. And that's something that, hopefully I feel it's coming back. People are tapping into their inner power and moving through life like that.
Yeah, so when we're in harmony with the planet itself, and that's one of the messages, and Cindy was saying each one of us has to first, you want to share that part?
What?
Each one of us has to heal ourselves.
Yes, a very important message about healing. And each one of us, we do need to heal ourselves first. That's really, really important. And after healing ourselves, then we start to work on healing the planet. In that order is probably the most important and most effective thing that we can do right now moving forward.
And that's a big message. We heal ourselves and we help each other heal and heal the planet. And that's key. And sorry, Heyoka. We couldn't hang in Nevada anymore and in that area. We just felt the calling to move and to get going. It just feels, like I shared, after feeling the Ridgecrest and then feeling the one up by Tonopah, and we could just see the signs too, as well as being so close to the military base in this time. So it was time to get away from that area is what we felt. And then we just basically follow the guides and listen to where they want us to go, and have done quite a bit of exploring. And, Peter, who is Heyoka Seeds there, he's done some exploring himself because he was living in, he was basically doing what we're doing, camper, just going around an RV and just going where spirit leads you. Yeah. And that could be a big thing for a lot of people too. Think about what we got going on these times. We had the California wildfires, then we had the big wildfires up in Colorado, and such beautiful area to get devastated by these horrible, horrible fires. And yet, there's so many other areas that are experiencing terrible earth changes. And then there's, cities that people were flocking to and now are in extreme turmoil because of the geopolitical situation. It is good to be mobile. I think it is good to be mobile, and, we are thankful for the camper. Oh, yeah. Although at the same time, we are eager to get settled in and to start, building a greenhouse will be the first thing on the agenda, building a greenhouse and starting to grow our own stuff and going from there. And we are seriously looking forward to it. And a lot of people, are recognizing that now, how much of a necessity it's going to be moving forward. I saw in my Twitter feed, like Oregon and New Mexico both went on a 2-week lockdown. I think both of them are on a 2-week lockdown. And of course, as soon as that gets out there, there's nothing in the grocery stores, and so there was a state rep from New Mexico that was saying, please don't hoard because, your grandma might not have stocked up and now she's going to go and there's nothing there. Literally, everything was wiped out in some of these areas because of that. And it does seem like more and more states are going back to some of the most stringent times that we've seen as far as the rules and regulations and shutting things down again.
And what about our elders? That brings me back to, they're really, really important. They have a place in evolution, and there is a reason why our elders were respected, because they look at things, well, as the DNA unravels and evolves, they see things on a different level. They see things in a different way, from a different perspective, a higher perspective. And I just think it's kind of sad the way that elders are treated nowadays. I mean, they probably heard about the lockdown. They can't just run out to their car and go to the grocery store and stock up on a lot of stuff. They don't have the ability to, and they may not have like the physical ability or have a car. They might not be able to drive. And maybe that's a place where we need to start reconnecting. If you have people in your area that could use that kind of help, it just feels so good to be part of something bigger than yourself.
So Akasha and Nicole have been feeling very, very calm, and that's beautiful. Yeah, we have felt that too. We have felt the bliss, except for when we get on and look at the news, to see what's happening. Otherwise, we feel amazingly blissful and at peace. And so we were at a lake today. We just discovered this beautiful spot, and we will share it with you hopefully tomorrow. Absolutely gorgeous. And I said to Cindy, you know what, just spending time sitting there looking at the water and being surrounded by these gorgeous pine trees, towering pines, I just felt like my soul was getting cleansed. It really felt like a cleansing of the soul. It felt so absolutely blissful.
Well, what I was feeling there is a place where there's rituals that are done to honor the mother, and that energy stays there, and it stays there. So these rituals, things go out into the ether to improve other things, and we were sensing that. We were walking through that and feeling the cleansing ourselves, and it was just really beautiful.
Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, campers they can be fun, and just simply also because you could go and explore all new places and still have home with you. We recently went somewhere and we didn't take the camper, and then we stayed in a hotel and it was absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. Plus, we don't like staying in a town. We just can't stand being around all the vibes. When you're in a place that does have the FIVEG, you can notice it. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good. So yeah, it's always blissful to be able to get back out into the middle of nowhere. And even if your home is 140 square feet, it's fine. So yeah, things are going to get a little bit more crazy here very soon. We have a lot of key dates coming up, as you guys know. The tensions will rise. So not to tell you guys don't jump on YouTube or anything, but make sure you take a lot of time to ground and get out in nature as much as you can. Because, you see how people are talking about how blissful they feel, and like Akasha, Nicole, we're both saying just how good they feel, and so tied to that mother energy, the divine feminine energy. That's one of the keys. That's one of the biggest keys is reattaching to that and connecting to that, not just for the grounding energy, but also the healing energy that will bring. And when I had Lyme's, one of the first things my doctor told me was to go take walks out in nature as much as possible. And, because nature is healing.
Extremely healing. And when I was going through a lot of really, really difficult times in my life, just one thing kept hitting after the next, after the next, after the next. The only place I could find any peace was out around the trees, out around the water. And it's just so important right now to unplug, turn off your phone, turn your internet off, because that's a constant bantering at your energy field. In our energy field, it makes its way to the 3D body. So we have all these interferences making their way to the 3D body, and that can cause, disease. It can cause problems. And you'll notice when you turn off your phone, turn off your computer, the stillness of everything is just it's wonderful.
So this is, part of what we want to get across is that if we didn't have this whole fiasco going on, I think on the whole, people would be feeling better than they've ever felt in their lives. They would be feeling more upbeat, more positive, more connected to everything around them. And it's simply because of this, show that we have going on, this distraction, purposeful, manipulated, in order to bring us into a lower frequency, because we're naturally heading upwards in frequency. We're naturally awakening. We are becoming very woke. Yep. Many people are waking up in droves right now. And some people don't even recognize what's happening at all. I think a lot of you guys understand what's happening spiritually as we are leaving a darker age and heading into a much more benevolent age of light and love and compassion and spiritual growth. Mm-hmm. This is exactly why we see everything going on the way it is, because it's all about keeping us in shackles and chains, but they're not going to be able to keep us down like that. It's just not going to happen. And we are going to come together. We're going to come together in small groups at first. At first it's going to be just, you're going to have to make that decision. Am I going to be part of the machine and accept everything that I'm not going to, that they're not going to want you to have a choice about? That will be, basically forced on you if you want to stay in the machine. Or am I going to try to get out of the machine? And that means, you're on your own besides whoever else you could band together with.
Yep. It's a decision that we're, gonna have to make soon, and it's coming closer and closer. And I know there are people that do live in the cities, and it is critical during this time. And it might be your journey. It might be your path to be a bridge for other people, just to keep waking up souls, one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next, to overturn the system. Might be one of the, more major things that we need to do as far as, what is your mission? It might be to help wake the masses, from a standing point that might not be super comfortable, but we are warriors. This is what we came here to do.
Exactly. And we have all lived before. This is part of that knowing, when you start to be able to tap into, like past lives and get these glimpses of other lives that you have led. It really changes your whole perspective on things. And when you get that knowing, that gnosis knowing, it just changes everything. You're no longer really in fear. Of course, you could feel disappointed in what you see around you and unhappy with what you see around you. Even people like Christ overturned the tables at the temple. And of course, Rama and Krishna at times, they did what they had to do, as well as others. We see, Gandhi spoke up against the system in a very, very peaceful way. So did MLK. So there's always been people that have done what they had to do in these times because it's just the right thing to do.
Exactly. And, finding that childlike bliss these days is really, really important, and if you've lost that, go to a playground or something, and sit there and watch those kids. Or even, I think there's this thing you can get online, like everything you need to know in life you learned in kindergarten. That's really, really cute. And I've known people to post that on their fridge in their house, functions quite well.
Okay, so No Thanks said something, and I've never seen this before. It said that it was removed by the Google moderator team. Oh my God. I have never seen that before. What? Message deleted by the Google moderator team.
What?
And I have no idea what they said, because usually I could click the little thing right here, and I could take a look and see what it was.
Wow.
But Oh, that's new, guys. Message deleted by the Google moderator team. Wow.
Well, that was something I kind of got. I can only use so many vocabulary words. The other day when we had that big outage, it was a blinking to install something else that could take over other other processes. And you want to use the first letter of the alphabet and then think about your eyeball, and they use that blinking of everything to go out to install that. So maybe that's some confirmation.
Yeah. So yeah, Cindy did get that. That outage was all about putting in new systems, and new systems of control. So we are definitely we are heading to an all new level as far as that goes. So we do have allies on the higher realms, and as you guys know, we're very fond of Vedic mantras, Sanskrit mantras. And we have gotten so many direct responses from that, so much confirmation that the higher powers are listening, and they are watching us, and they are trying to help us. They're in this battle with us. This is our battle, but they are also cheering us on, and they're lending their energies. And so it's interesting, too, because the Pleiadians, when we've asked, about the Pleiadians and the Arcturians, they're very well of these beings, these devas.
Right. They know of each other, and maybe not necessarily work directly with each other, but know of each other. And even though they come from different backgrounds and different belief systems, they have figured it out where working together really behooves everybody, when it comes to working in the light and trying to bring humanity up to a higher place. They have no problems working with each other, even if there's different belief systems, which is something that, through our traumas and through our life experiences, we do have a problem working together. But that's why it's so important for us to take the time to heal the self right now.
It is. It's so key. So hone your spiritual practice, connect to the higher realms. This is so, so important. Pull down and anchor the light onto the planet, and send your love also into the planet itself, and the planet will respond. One of the things that was coming to me was that as these powers that be do what they do, they're also not just through technology creating amplified effects with the earth changes, but the earth itself. Again, it's like a flea on a dog, and at some point the earth will shake it all off. It'll shake the entire system down to nothing. But we don't want to see that type of devastating earth changes. But when the system is so toxic, the body has to fight against it. When there's a nasty virus or a bacteria that's threatening the life of the body, it will respond. And perhaps that's part of what they're banking on at the same time. At the same time, if the system was gone and we could come together in a peaceful manner and start to change our practices, I really believe you would see the earth changes subside to a very, very manageable level. And they might even go out and extend out decades, giving us tons of time to prepare and be ready.
And just want to say a huge thank you, NGC. We appreciate your support. We appreciate all your guys' support, whether it be thumbs up, Patreon, Ko-Fi, whatever. This is getting to be more and more difficult to get the truth out. So any little bit really helps. And thank you so much, Silver Flame, sending love and light. And thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We totally appreciate you guys. Every time we take 3 steps forward, they try to reel us 2 steps back, and then sometimes 4 steps back. And so as this second channel has started to develop and was taking off pretty good, then they start to reel it in again in any way, shape they can. And as you know, they demonetized the first channel, which if